What's going on, guys? My name is Noah. Most of you guys know me as TTL or Test the Limit DFS, Test the Limit, any of those is fine. But I wanted to make this video. This is a little bit of a different kind of video than the types that I normally make. And I'm making this video to help you guys learn how to start sports betting in 2025. Now, we are in the middle of the year, and this is going to be something that you can watch in 2026, 2027, really just whenever. But I just wanted to make this video to kind of help you guys learn my strategies, learn every single thing about sports betting. And if you don't know who I am and you're new to the channel, I've been a profitable sports bettor for around 5 years now, 4 or 5 years. I started uploading content around 4 years ago, maybe 4.5. And I started out, I was doing things like FanDuel DFS. So I was doing like lineups where you have a salary and things like that. And I slowly moved on from that and I started doing sportsbook stuff. And then I don't really consider this sports betting because this is considered a game of skill, but the pick'em apps, you guys know all of the pick'em apps. But I do all of that now, and now I just upload my videos on YouTube. I try my best to do every single day, but I mean, I've made six figures or more every single year for the past 3 years. So 3 years straight of six figures or more profit. So just wanted to point that out there. This is coming from someone that has been pretty consistent with this over the past 3, 4, 5 years. So just wanted to give you guys a kind of introduction on who I am, why you should listen to this video, and kind of what we're going to be going over, right? So what we're going to be going over is, first of all, should you even be sports betting? Should you even think about it? What you need to know, all of that good stuff. We're going to go over the best sportsbook and pick'em apps that you can possibly use, the best tools and resources that can help you with your pick'em app research, your prop research, your money line research, spread research, any of that good stuff. We're gonna go over bankroll management, and that is like key number 5 in this video. You're gonna see timestamps all throughout. Um, Bankroll management is everything. So make sure you guys listen to that point, even if you are an experienced sports bettor, someone that's done this for a very long time. Bankroll management is everything for us. So make sure you guys listen to that. And then starting with number 6, we're going to go over sports books. And then starting with number 9, we're going to go all over the pick'em app stuff. And then number 12 is going to be the conclusion of this video, the next steps, how you can get started, all that good stuff. So if you guys watch the whole video, I appreciate you. If you want to hit that thumbs up button, leave a comment down below. I appreciate it as well. And hit that subscribe button because I do upload videos. I try to upload videos every single day. I was in a motorcycle accident last year in around April. So after that, I kind of started slacking. But I try my best to do every single day. And yeah, so that's me. That's who I am. If you guys have any questions, let me know in the comments. And this video is going to be anywhere between 15 minutes long and it could be an hour long. I'm going to try and do things as quickly as possible, but I do want to make sure that I go over everything that I feel you guys need to know. So let's go ahead and get started with bullet point number 2 after the introduction. Should you start betting on sports? Now, this is a loaded question, right? Because there's a lot of side hustles. There's a lot of things that people try and do to make money. And there's so many things nowadays, right? So people, if you're like me, you did not want to work a 9 to 5 for your entire life, right? So you start doing things that some people do, some people don't. Started off with drop shipping when I was like 16, right? Tried drop shipping for like a week. Absolutely hated it. Was not for me. Some people still do that to this day, and they're very profitable with that. That's a side hustle that people do. Another one is day trading. A lot of people day trade. I've personally started dabbling a little bit. For a little bit of a while, I was day trading with my friend, and we had a lot of success with that. But I kind of just pushed that to the side because the sports stuff took over, and that's been the most profitable for me. People try doing the whole sneaker thing, reselling sneakers, reselling jerseys, reselling like Supreme, things like that. So there's a lot of different things that people do me go ahead and turn my alarms off, make sure we don't get interrupted. But there's a lot of things that people do to kind of have a side hustle, start building that income up, right? But what personally has worked for me the most is sports. So pick 'em apps and sports betting on sports books. So I've had a huge amount of success with both of these, and I'm going to go over the difference as well. So sports books, that's what I consider sports betting, right? So sports books is where you have money lines, spreads, game totals, things like that. And they typically allow you to do props as well. And then you have a whole other side, which is just considered the game of skill, right? And that's pick 'em apps. That's things like underdog, right? And that's my partner personally. That's my favorite pick 'em app is underdog fantasy. But we're gonna go over all your choices later. But things like that, that's considered a game of skill, and that's legal in most states, like 40 plus states in the US, because it is a game of skill. And you have to pick two or more props, and you can make a 2 pick, 3 pick, 4 pick, 5 pick, 6 pick, whatever you're wanting to do. They all have different payouts. We're going to go over all of that later on. But that's what worked for me. Both Sportsbook and Pick'em apps have worked for me immensely. So, something that I would recommend just keeping in mind if you're wanting to start betting on sports is you have to have a bankroll. This isn't something that you can start doing where if you're wanting a side hustle where you go mow your neighbor's grass and you're wanting to start doing that, you don't need really anything except for the lawnmower to get started, right? And if you're a teenager, you can't do sports betting, you can't do pick 'em ups anyways, right? Um, but what you can do is you can start working towards saving some money up. And this is what I recommend most people do is saving a few $100s up, and then you can start sports betting. You can start doing the pick 'em apps. You can do all that stuff. But right now, if you're someone that works a 9 to 5 and you're barely making your bills, this isn't something that I would personally recommend because this is something that you're going to have swings. And unless you have a little bit of savings that you can afford to lose, that's the important part. So your bankroll is something you can afford to lose. Unless you have $400 or $500 that you can afford to lose, I would not recommend start sports betting. This is something that you can have wild swings. You can be down $200 within a week. You can be up $1,000 within a week, but you're going to have those wild swings. But then week to week, month to month, you're going to see that profit come in as long as you follow my strategies and do things that I personally do. That's how it's worked for me, anyways. And I'm going to go over bankroll management, things like that in the future of this video. You can skip to that if you want. But next up, we're going to do the best sportsbook and pick'em apps, right? So we're going to go ahead and swap over to the screen, let you guys see that, and we're going to go over the best sportsbook. And so number one on our pick'em app list would be Underdog. You can go to this by underdogfantasy.com or just download the Underdog app. Absolutely amazing. This is my number one go-to app. So I have been working with them over the past 6 months, and I've been using their app for the past 2.5 years, 3 years. So absolutely love Underdog. This is my number one. The main thing about this that is the greatest is not only does it have lines like a lot of the other pick'em apps, but it also has alt lines. So we can see, let's say we wanted to take Angel Reese points over today. Okay. Now we can see the 11.5 points higher, lower. We can take that, but we can also click the arrows and we can take over 9.5 if we wanted to. Or if we think she's going to have a great day, she's going to get 15 or more, we can take over 14.5. Now this is a random pick. I do not recommend taking this, and you're probably going to see this in a few weeks anyways, but that's just an example. But I mean, it's just great. And something about Underdog that I love that they do is you can actually take unders on the alt lines as well for a lot of them. So let me find one that has an under that you can take as well. Yeah, so for example, I can take Tatis Jr. under 3.5 or under 1.5. And a lot of apps only allow you to do the overs on alt lines, while Underdog allows you to take over or under as long as it's on there. Definitely my number one pick'em app. There's a lot of options though, and if you guys want, I do recommend having multiple so that you can kind of line shop, find the best lines possible, find the best deal possible. Another great thing about Underdog, though, is they do give you bonuses pretty much every day. So every single day, pretty much, you're going to have payout boosts. You're going to have discounts. You're going to have gimme picks, which are just free picks. And they do seem to actually care about the consumer. So Underdog's my number one. Number two would be Prize Picks. Prize Picks is something I'm sure you guys have used before or heard of, just more or less. They have goblins, they have demons. Now, those are similar to alt lines, and again, you can only take the overs on those. You can't take unders, but this is a great option as well. Next up, we have Parlay Play. Love them. They have a website and an app as well, and I do recommend them if you're looking to line shop. Next up, we have Chalkboard and Sleeper. Now, I recommend using one of these. You don't have to get both. You could get both if you wanted to line shop again. That's something that's very important with the pick'em apps is you want to make sure you get the best lines possible. Some people might have it at 30.5, while others will have it at 28.5, for example. So you want to get the best line possible with the best payout possible. But Chalkboard and Sleeper both have apps, but not websites. So this Sleeper website is just for fantasy, not for the pick'ems. But either way, guys, these are the five that I recommend. You can use code TTL and get pretty large bonuses on all of these, except for Prize Picks. So on Underdog, you can use code TTL, get up to $1,000 deposit bonus. Parlay Play, I think it's up to $100. You same code on all of these, by the way, just code TTL when you sign up or make your first deposit. But Underdog is $1,000 deposit bonus. Parlay Play is up to 100. Chalkboard is up to like 100 or 150, and then Sleeper gives you like a free $60 play when you use code TTL, and the minimum deposit on that is like $5. So it does help me out if you use code TTL on any of these, but these are my top pick'em apps. I use all of these pretty much daily, so those are my pick'em apps. As far as sports books go, I don't know how far I can go into sports books. I know it's very heavily regulated on YouTube right now, but FanDuel, DraftKings, those are two popular ones. I do use some other ones. If you join the Discord, I can mention that more. You'll see my links, but I am a little bit afraid to mention it on YouTube just because I don't want the video to get blocked or age restricted, anything like that. So, well, age restricted, I could really care less because this is 18 plus anyways, but shouldn't be even thinking about anything regarding pick'em apps or sports books or anything if you're not over the age of 18. But I do worry that the video will get blocked, demonetized, taken down, things like that if I mention any of the other ones that I use. But there's a lot of popular ones that I use. You can join the Discord. The link is in my description right now. And in the description and comments of all my other videos. But let's get into it, and we're going to go ahead and go to the next bullet point. So next up is the best tools and resources that you can use for sports betting or for the pick'em apps, the props. So this is my main resource that I use, and I will be fully transparent, full disclosure. This is a website I created. I created this from the ground up because I was tired of having to look in 8 different places to find everything that I was wanting. And I was tired of having to research for 7, 8 hours because I would spend my entire day doing research on sports because there's so many different sports that I provide picks for that I do research on. We have NBA, MLB, MMA, WNBA. We do esports like Counter Strike, League of Legends, Valorant. There's so much that I do that it was so hard to keep up with everything. I mean, it was a minimum of 5 hours every single day that I was just researching. So this really sped up that process. And we have a lot of people that have started using this, and I appreciate all the love that I've gotten. But this is predictiveprofits.ai. And I made this from the ground up. Everything that's in this, I've made. You can use code TTL50 if you're interested to get 50% off a month or a week to try it out. But this is the website I recommend. Now, for sports books, we have the betting predictor, and for the pick'em apps, we have the prop predictor. Now, the betting predictor is going to just tell you exactly what to bet on. So, for example, right here, our top positive EV play would be the Oakland Athletics money line. And I know it's technically not Oakland anymore, it's just the Athletics. I consider them Oakland. Okay. But they're plus 195 on most sports books right now, and it is a 23% positive EV bet. And if we click on this, we can see more data about this based on the predictive profits projections. And what this did is it did 1,000 simulations. So for both the prop predictor and the betting predictor, it does 1,000 simulations, and it uses all of the data, all of the past data from this year and most of last year, and it uses all of that data to determine percent hit rates it has for the spread, the game total, and the money line. Um, so we can see right here, this game starts tonight at 7:05 p.m. Eastern. The money line, the Oakland won 45.12% of time in this money line. Now, you're wondering, why are we taking them if they only won 45% of the time? And that's because it's a plus 195 odds. And we're going to go over how odds work in the in a future bullet point. We're going to go over that. We're going to go over everything about that. But we know if they win 45% of the time at plus 195 odds, you're going to be so profitable. But we can also see on here that there's some other bets that are good to take in this game. We can see the over 8.5 game total is at a 54%. That could be a good bet to take. The spread of plus 1.5 for the Athletics is 56% if you'd rather take the spread than the money line. But it gives you all of those options for every single bet that it recommends, and it tells you exact hit rates that we had. Now, if we look at the Athletics, we might actually have the game total somewhere in here. Yeah, right here. We actually do take that as well today at plus 100. But that's the betting predictor. This helps with sports books, and it gives you all of that information you need for sports books. And honestly, this is the only thing I use personally. Every once in a while, I'll Google, and I'll just Google like MLB public betting, and it'll show you what percent of people are betting on a bet and what percent of money is on a bet. And I typically go with the Wells as long as it agrees with predictive profits. But for betting, that's pretty much all I use for the sportsbook side. It's up over 500 units ish. I need to update it, but it's up over 500 units since August 2024 until the end of June 2025. So pretty great. Let's head over to the prop predictor. We have that as well. There's a sports book side and a prize pick side. You can use either one of these, but you can sort it by hit rate and it shows you everything. You can sort it by stat type. If you just want to take pitcher props, for example, you can do that. I currently have a filter on to only show minimum hit rates of 65%. We can lessen that though, of course. And we can see all the pitcher props. We can see all of the other props. And there's just tons of them. So you can make it where there's only certain odds that you can take as well. So if I widen that even, you'll see even more pop up. It's just great, great tool. And the way this works is the hit rate line is the projected hit rate. So from those 10,000 simulations that were ran, it uses the batting average. It uses batter versus pitcher data. It uses last 5, last 10, this season, last season, everything you can imagine, whether they're at home or away. And it tells you exactly whether to take the over or the under. And you can actually just filter by that, sort by that, whatever. You can select only certain sports if you want. Currently, we have MLB, NBA, NFL, college football, Counter-Strike 2, and League of Legends. We're working on getting WNBA and NHL. But just a great tool all around. And when you click on somebody's name, like Jeff McNeil, for example, we can see it shows the opposing pitcher, their averages, and it gives you our recommendation, the projected hit rate, our projection, and just the whole projection details, as well as you being able to see all of the charts as well for this season. But that's predictiveprofits.ai. This is the tool I created that you can use code TTL50 for half off. The other side is Outlier. So Outlier is a tool that I used before I created Predictive Profits. It's not like I'm going to randomly switch up on Outlier, right? I think Outlier is a great tool. I think it can be very useful. They have the insights page, which shows you all of like just high hit rates over the past so-and-so games. So for example, Merrill Kelly exceeded 5.5 strikeouts in 9 straight games. That's something we could look at, but we can look at his stats too, right? So if we click the props section and we're on MLB, it'll load all the props up for us, and we can search up, for example, Merrill Kelly. And we can see his over 5.5 strikeouts. We can click it. It'll show us the last 5, last 10, last 20, head to head, 2025, 2024, all that good stuff. And we can filter similar to on predictive profits. We can filter all of that good stuff as well. We can see his innings pitched similar to predictive profits. The opposing batter stats similar to predictive profits, all that good stuff. And we can also see the starting pitcher versus starting pitcher as well. So just another great app that you can use all of this information to do. Another resource that if predictive profits doesn't have someone for some reason, I typically just update predictive profits. That's pretty much all I use really, but Outlier is still a great app to use if you guys want something else that's not made by me, because obviously I would push what I created, right? But this is another great resource, a great tool that you guys can use for your research. Other than that, you can get things from NBA.com, NFL.com, MLB.com, any sport really. You can use ESPN, and you can find all their data. So NBA.com or ESPN, and you can find all that data if you want to go digging for it. The goal of predictive profits and apps like Outlier are just to bring that to the front, the things that we find important, right? So predictive profits has pretty much everything that I find important. Plus it gives you that projected hit rate based on the simulations, which has been super accurate so far this year. So next up, we're going to go ahead and go to our next bullet point, which is going over bankroll management, which is the key to success in this field. So make sure you guys tune in to the next bullet point, which is coming up right now. All right, guys, so let's get started with the bankroll management. So number one, bankroll management is the key to success. Now, I was saying this earlier. This is honestly the most important part of sports betting or using pick'em apps. This is what ensures that you do not lose all of your money, and it ensures consistent wins and losses. Meaning, if I'm betting $100 every single time I bet, obviously, if I lose, I'm going to lose $100, and if I win, I'm going to win correlated to $100. Whereas if I do $25 on this day, and then $100 on this day, or $500 on this other bet, and then $100 on this one, it can get very wide variance. So it's pretty important to stay pretty consistent overall with your bankroll. So moving on, what is a bankroll? Bankroll is how much disposable money you have for sports betting or pick'em apps. I recommend starting with a bankroll of $500 or more. If you have $100, you're going to be playing $1 per slip. And I mean, a lot of people aren't going to be able to stay true to that. They're going to play $5 or even $10. If you can stay true to that, feel free to start with 100. But I recommend 500 so you can at least feel something when you're winning $10 or when you're losing $5. It makes it a lot more exciting, but it also just helps you set that guideline of $500. This is what I'm willing to risk, and if I lose that, I'm done. Whereas for $100, if you're playing $5 a slip, because that's pretty much the minimum on some pick'em apps. Some pick'em apps will allow you to do one. Most of them are $5 minimum. You're going to be kind of stressing, because if you have a bad week, you're going to be down to like $30, and then you got 6 plays. I recommend $500 or more, pretty much baseline starting out. So next up, my recommendations. I recommend using 1 to 2% of your bankroll per sports bet or pick'em slip. And I also do not recommend overextending on one single prop or bet, which is money line, spreads, game totals, that kind of thing. So for example, if I'm taking the Braves money line today, I'm not going to want to put that by itself, right? So I'm going to play it by itself because I love that. Then I might do a 3-pick or a 4-pick with that money line. But I'm not going to want to do 5 different parlays with the Braves money line, because then if they lose, that ruins all of those parlays. Or if you're on pick'em apps, for example, if you're taking Bello over 3.5 strikeouts, that's a prop that we took today. Brian Bello over 3.5 strikeouts. If we're taking that prop, I'm not gonna want to put that. I'm gonna have that in a 2 pick, and then I might have that in a 5 pick or a 6 pick. I'm not gonna put that in 3 2 picks, a 5 pick, a 6 pick, a 4 pick. Because then if that prop loses, it's losing me so much potential otherwise. That would have me having like 8 units on that one single prop. Um, and what a unit is how sports bettors keep track of their profit and loss and how they keep track publicly, right? So 1 unit is 1% of your bankroll typically. 1 to 2% of your bankroll, which is what this is, right? And what that means is you have 100 units in your bankroll. So if it's $100, that means 1 unit is $1. If it's $500, that means 1 unit is $5. And then if I post in the Discord, hey, we went up 8 units today, he might have $10,000 in his account. He might be doing $100 per bet. He might be up 800. But for me, I have $500 in my account. 8 times 5, that's 40. I would be up $40. So that's kind of how you keep track. So for example, if you have a $500 bankroll, you should be betting $5 to $10 per unit, so per slip. Remember, it's a marathon, not a race. So this is something that if you're looking to do this, it needs to be done. Or if you're looking to take this serious, right? You can try and get lucky. You can do it just for fun. $5 here and there. Hail Mary parlays, trying to retire from your job, right? Every once in a while, you're going to hit one of those. But long term, you're going to lose money. I mean, one person out of like 50 might hit one of those every once in a while, right? Like you're not going to hit those very often. Now the way that I do it, it's a marathon, not a race. I'm not trying to do this to get rich quick. I'm trying to do this so that I have a steady income every single month, pretty much every single week. Every once in a while we'll have a losing week, but pretty much week to week you're going to be in profit. Month to month you're going to be in profit. So this is something that I definitely recommend just keeping it in mind. It's a marathon, not a race, man. Tortoise versus the hare. That's a story we always heard growing up. The hare got tired, took a nap, whatever, and then the tortoise just ran past him and won. Um, it's not about just winning a ton of money when you first start. It's about having that steady income. So how do I split my bankroll between the apps? Because I recommended having 3, 4, maybe even 5 apps or websites that you're using. There's 2 ways that I recommend doing this. I've done both of these in the past. Currently, I have my bankroll per app, which is number 2, right? But number 1, splitting it evenly between all apps. So let's say you have 5 apps to keep this simple, keep this really simple math. Let's say you have 5 apps that you're using and you have $500, that would be $100 on each app. And now what this means is you might profit a lot on one app and lose some on the other app. But overall, you should be able to, the withdrawals are almost instant. So you should not feel discouraged if one app is down to 50, but then another is up to 200, because that means overall you're up $50, right? So you just move the money between the apps when you need it, right? So so for example, if I'm on Prize Picks and Underdog and Parlay Play, and my Prize Picks is down to $20, my Underdog's up to 200, my Parlay Play's up to 200, I'll withdraw 80 from one of Underdog or Parlay Play to move over Prize Picks. Number 2 is having bankroll per app, and then that's what I recommend, right? And that's what I do is I'll have like $500 on each and every app. Or if you're doing it split evenly, let's say you have 3 apps with $600, I would do 200, 200, 200. But I'm not gonna, and that's splitting it evenly, yes, but I'm not gonna be swapping my bankroll between all of these, right? So what happens there is I'm gonna be doing if my underdog balance goes to 0, I'm not going to transfer from Prize Picks or the other app into there. Instead, it's a little bit different. It's kind of like using a third party, right? Because we're using our bank as a middleman pretty much. So what I personally do, and we'll go ahead and swap to the next one, when do I withdraw, right? Is I set a goal for how much I want to put on each slip in an ideal world. Or you can just say, this is how much bankroll I want to have. So once you reach the amount that 1% of your bankroll would be that goal, you withdraw anything over that. An example I gave is if you want $10 per slip as your goal, once you get to $1,000, you withdraw anything over that. If you want $100 per slip, once you get to 10 grand, you withdraw anything over that. Withdrawals are almost instant. Never feel bad about withdrawing if you need the money. So that's personally what I do. So let's say I have a goal of $5,000 on it on each app, right? Let's say Prize Picks is at 4,000, Underdog's at 8,000. I would withdraw 3,000 from Underdog every week. I do this every Monday. I'll withdraw any excess from Underdog, let's say, and then that'll be in my bank in a savings account. And then if Prize Picks dips below that 5K, I'll just deposit from that bank account. And what that keeps me from doing is it keeps me from constantly withdrawing and moving money between all apps. And I just have it in my savings, just dedicated towards that. And whenever I need to, I can put it into it. Or if I need to use the money for something, I'm moving or I need to make a purchase, I can just withdraw from that savings and do that. It just makes things a lot easier when you set those goals and you just have a baseline, like a milestone of like anything over this amount, I'll withdraw. It could be when you're starting out, it can be $1,000. It can be anything over that 500 baseline that you deposited. It can be 2,500, 5,000, 7,500, 10 grand, 20 grand, 25. You know, whatever you're feeling comfortable with, whatever your personal bankroll is that you have disposable. This is something that you just set for yourself. But I recommend setting those goals, and anything over the goals you draw. So that was me going over bankroll management. Hopefully that made sense to you guys. And then now we're gonna move on over to the sportsbook side of things. So the next 3 timestamps should be sportsbook, and then we'll have 3 timestamps going over pick'em apps. We'll go over the next step. So next up, we're going to go over what are odds, and we're going to explain how odds work, what they are, all of that good stuff for sports books. So see you guys in just 1 second. So now we're going to go over how to understand sportsbook odds. The next 2 or 3 sections are going to be all about sportsbooks, none of the pick'em app stuff. So feel free to look at the timestamps, switch over to the pick'em apps if you only play those. Or later on, you can skip those if you only play sports books. But understanding odds in sports books is super important, and this should give you a gist of pretty much everything to do with odds for sports books. So let's get started. So what are betting odds? Odds represent the implied probability of an outcome. So what this is telling you is basically the odds that the sports book is giving a bet to hit. So they determine how much you win from your wager. For example, if you bet $100 at 2.0 decimal odds, you get $100 profit plus your $100 stake back. So you get $200 total. 100 of that is profit. Basically, they use this to kind of determine, they always have an edge, right? So sports books are always gonna, like, let's say they actually think that a team is gonna win at a 50% chance, right? Typically, that would be 2x. 2x odds on decimal odds are plus 100 on American odds, because that's a 50-50 chance. You're doubling up if you cash. But they would typically make that like a 1.9x, minus 115, minus 120, so that they get their increased odds of being profitable long term. Odds matter for a ton of reasons, but the most important reasons are they help you understand how likely an outcome is when you're just looking at the odds. It helps you calculate your potential payout, and it helps you spot valuable bets, which is value betting. And the reason that odds are so important is because if you are someone like me who has 4 or 5 different sports books that they're using in a day-to-day manner, it's very important that you can get on all of these, look at the odds, and if I'm liking, let's say I'm liking the Braves money line tonight, I'm not going to take it for plus 100. We'll keep it simple. I'm not going to take it for a 2x. I'm not going to take it for doubling my money at a plus 100 odds. When on another sports book, I can get it for plus 200. And that's obviously very drastic, but I'm not going to take it when I can get 3x somewhere else, right? So you want to make sure that you line shop and you use a ton of different sports books to get the best value possible, the best bang for your buck. The two most common types of odds are the American odds, which is typically what I use, and then decimal odds, which are honestly way easier to read. And we'll go over both of these right now. So, American odds, negative odds means it's a favorite, positive odds means that they are the underdog. For example, a minus 150 bet means that you have to bet $150 to profit 100. A plus 200 bet means you have to bet $100 to profit 200. So it's pretty simple when you think about it. So just minus means they're the favorite, plus means that they're the underdog. And if you ever see two lines that are like minus 115 versus minus 115, that's usually just the sports book taking their little bit, and it's kind of 50-50 on who's going to win. Decimal odds is very simple. It's just your bet times the odds. So if you're getting something at 1.8x odds, let's say I bet $50, 1.8 times 50, I get $90 back. So $40 of that is profit. It's really simple. It's just your total return. Whereas for the American odds, we're going to go back to this slide. On the American odds, I'm getting $100 profit on the 150 on the favorite, right? So I'm getting 250 back total. That's my total return. And on the underdog, I'm profiting 200. So I'm getting 300 back total. When you're comparing the odds types, so for example, plus 100 in American odds, if I'm betting $100, I'm profiting 100, I'm getting 200 back. That's a 2x in decimal odds. Plus 200, same thing. I bet 100, I get 200 profit, I get 300 total return. So 3x in decimal odds. Minus 200, I have to bet $200 to profit 100. So I'm getting 300 back from 200. That's a 1.5x in decimal odds. So once you know how to do the conversions, it's pretty simple. And that's going to help you as well, because if you follow a lot of people, if you're on Twitter, if you want to see what other people think, if you're in my Discord, any of that, it kind of helps you know, okay, I have mine set to decimal odds on my sports book. So he posted at minus 200, that's 1.5x for me. Or he posted a plus 150, that's a 2.5x for me, that kind of thing, right? It kind of just helps you determine what your decimal odds should be. Or you can just, most sports books allow you to change it as well if you wanted to change the odds type to decimal or American at any point. So in summary, for the sportsbook odds section, odds tell you how much you're going to win based on your wager. American odds are plus for underdogs and minus for favorites. Decimal odds are simpler. They just show you the total return. And then you knowing how to convert and read both is pretty important, because that can be very helpful long term. And again, guys, one of the key points, one of the main reasons knowing odds is important is making sure that you can get the best odds possible and get the best payout. Because if you can get, let's say you hit a bet and you're going to get $150 profit for it, but if you bet it on this other website, you would have got $180 profit for it. That's quite a big difference. That's 30 extra dollars that would be in your pocket if you would have just looked for those odds. So sportsbook odds are very important. Make sure you guys get the best odds possible at all times. And I'll see you guys in the next session. The second. Now we're going to be going over the types of bets on sportsbooks, and I'm going to be going over the 3 most popular that I personally recommend. I noticed my camera was over the slideshow just a little bit last time, so I'm just going to show you guys like this. I think that makes it easier, even though it doesn't look as nice. But I still want to make sure I get to my points, and I want to make sure you guys can read everything and understand it clearly. So I'm going to just go over my 3 types of sportsbook bets that I personally bet on the most. And those are going to be money lines, spreads, and game totals. Every once in a while, I'll also do team totals as well. But these three are the three that I typically go for the most. Now, let's get straight into this, and hopefully, this all makes sense for you guys after this. So, I get a lot of questions. What is a money line? What is a spread? How does that work? Game totals are a little bit self explanatory, but money lines and spreads can get confusing if you're new to sports books. So, let's get into it. The main type of bets, they offer a ton of bets on sports books, but most commonly, we're going to be mentioning money lines, point spread, and game total, which can be over or under. Money line bets are just betting on which team will win the game. You only care who wins. You don't care about the score. You don't care if a team wins by one. You don't care if they win in overtime or when they win, how they win. It's just that person to win, that team to win, whatever. You can take these for pretty much everything: MLB, NBA. You can take it on MMA, MLB, NBA, NFL, college football, college basketball. Pretty much everything is going to have money line bets. And you are literally just betting on the win. So odds determine your payout, like we just went over. So for example, Yankees at minus 150 versus the Red Sox at plus 130. You can bet $150 on the Yankees to win $100 profit, or you can bet $100 on the Red Sox to win $130 profit. So you don't care the score, you just care who wins. Spread bets can also be called point spreads or handicap. So that's kind of what you'll see going around those verbiage, those wording. You bet on the margin of victory. That's what a spread bet is. So for example, if it's the Lakers versus the Bulls, and the Lakers are minus 6.5 and the Bulls are plus 6.5, that means the Lakers, if we take minus 6.5, the Lakers must win by 7 points or more for that bet to cash. If they win, but they win by 2 or 3, that does not count. You will lose your bet. The Bulls, if you take plus 6.5, they can lose by up to 6 or they can win. So if they win, you cash your bet. They lose by 2, you cash your bet. They lose by 5, you cash your bet. But if they lose by 7, you lose your bet. And basically, you're just adding that on to their points at the end, right? So if it's 105 for the Lakers to 100 for the Bulls, Bulls plus 6.5, that's actually like you're taking 105 to 106.5. So you would win that bet. Or even if the Lakers had 106 and you took Bulls plus 6.5 and they had 100 points, it's 106 to 0.5 to 106. So the Bulls plus 6.5 would still win that scenario. You're literally just betting on the margin of victory in that game. Now, the reason people take spread bets over money lines can even out the matchup between strong and weak teams. So, if there is a team that is minus 500 for their money line, for an NBA team, let's say, their line might be like minus 13.5 on the spread or minus 11.5. And if you think they are going to just stomp them, they are going to win by 20 plus points, you can get the minus 11.5, minus 13.5 spread for minus 110 odds, minus 115 odds. So the odds are a lot easier to take. You don't have to risk as much to win as much. So you just get way better payouts if you think the game is going to be lopsided. And this is more common in games that have higher scoring, like football, basketball. But even in MLB, I take spreads every once in a while, especially the plus spreads, plus 1.5, things like that. But even for MMA recently, they've started doing point spreads where you can bet like if it goes to the judges that they win by a certain amount of points, things like that. So I mean, spread bets have been a lot more popular recently, and they're just growing in the options you have for spreads. But that's the reason you would take a spread bet over a money line, is just if you think the game's going to be close, maybe you take the underdog at plus spread. Or if you think it's going to be lopsided, you can take the favorite at minus spread. Game totals. You bet on the combined score of both teams. So, for example, if we take an over at 45.5, both teams combined must be 46 or more. If you bet under, it must be 45 or less. That one is very simple. So if we bet over 45.5, we have to have 46 or more points between both teams. So if we have 20 to 30, that's 50 total, right? So it's just between both teams. Pretty self explanatory for game totals. I don't think I have to go into that one too in depth. So how that works, again, it doesn't matter who wins. It doesn't matter who wins, what the score was between the teams comparatively. It just matters the total score. And you can bet on this for pretty much everything: football, basketball, baseball, whatever. So in summary, a money line is you're just picking the winner. A spread is you're betting on the margin of victory, and then the total is you betting on the combined score. Understanding these three types of bets gives you a strong foundation for betting. It just lets you make sure that you know exactly what you're betting on, why you're betting on it, all that good stuff. So next up, we're going to go over our sportsbook strategy, how I am most profitable with my sportsbook bets, and the things that I use to make sure that I'm profitable long term. Now, getting into our sportsbook strategy, it's actually really simple. So this might be the shortest little like little timestamp of this video, just because the sportsbook strategy is so simple because I've made it simple. So going back to that predictiveprofits.ai website, this is a website I created and it was from the ground up, and I spent months and months and months refining this, and I already had a sportsbook strategy, and I knew everything that I would look at for sportsbooks, right? And I'll go over that in just a minute, but I knew what I would look at for money line bets. I knew what I would look at for spreads. I knew what I would look at for game totals. Um, but I just wanted to create something that would make my life easier so that I didn't have to have seven different tabs open, going to different games, spending hours researching every single game, making sure I had all of the information I needed. So I created this website and it's been phenomenal. So obviously it's had its losing weeks, but I think it's only had one losing month so far in almost a year now. But we'll go to that in a second. We're going to go ahead and click the betting predictor right here. And this is the sportsbook section. This is what that looks like. And we can see there's some bets up for today already. It typically looks for 12 hours in the future. It's currently 3:56 a.m. for me. So that's why it's showing 3:07 p.m. games. Will be right now. We can see the official unit profit loss. Um, it started at plus 23.5 units just because in July, I didn't count July, but August 1st was the first day that I said I was going to launch it, and it ended up going up 23 units on August 1st. But we can see it was up 23.5 after August 1st. On September 1st, it was up 50.18 units in August. It went up 64.12 units in September, 42 units in October, 4.5 units, 4.9 in November, 27.4 in December, 55 in January. It went minus 12 in February, and then plus 72. In March is when I added the game totals and the spreads, by the way. At one point, this was just money lines. March, it went up 72.4. April, 65.7. And then May, it went up 75.2. And then we have to calculate June still, but that'll be up probably tomorrow. So, I mean, this has been very, very profitable. It's not even been a full year yet, and we're at 479.19. So that's without 2 months of data. Now, I think June will be a pretty even month. We had some really good days and some really bad days. The only thing that is not on this website particularly is MMA, that I personally bet on. So MLB, NBA, NFL, college football. All of that is on here, and I'm trying to get college basketball and perhaps even WNBA and NHL. Those three are the three I'm looking at currently. And obviously, I make updates whenever. But the odds format, you can do decimal or American, which is we went over that earlier, the different odd types. You can choose whichever one you're wanting personally. I just use American because that's what I use on Sportsbooks. But it literally uses an algorithm that I built and I spent 4 or 5 months testing. And then we also have this to show proof of like how much we are up as well. But I used 3 or 4 months testing, and then I've just increased how much it's what it's calculating, and I kind of changed the weights of things as we moved along until I have something that I'm extremely proud of, and I was ready to make this video really. But so what this is calculating, we'll just go over MLB for now, but just to kind of give you the gist of what it's putting into everything, right? So it looks at this season, it looks at some of last season, it looks at the last 25, last 10, and last 5 games that an MLB team has played. And it also looks at which pitchers are pitching for both teams and which batters are in the lineup for both teams on that given day. Now, obviously, batter lineups change, starting pitchers change, and you will see the EV percentage, the percent hit rates, all of that change throughout the day as well. And that's because that info changes and it moves with that info. The only thing that I truly think matters that isn't currently um, is the weather. Weather is super important in MLB, and I don't have a way that I'm weighing that yet. That's something I'm looking into. But currently, everything else is weighted. And I weigh them differently, right? Because, of course, which pitchers are pitching, that's massive in baseball. That's going to be weighed more than what the scores have been, their past 10 games, that kind of thing, right? But it does put all of that into focus and it just weighs everything separately. It combines it and then it runs 10,000 simulations and it pops up and tells us which bets to take, how many units to put on them. It has a 1 unit to 3 unit scale. So the highest bet it will ever tell us to take is a 3 unit bet. The lowest is a 1 unit bet. And I'm thinking about even making it go down to 0.5 unit. Um, that's just something I'm thinking about, and up to 5 even. But we'll see about that. But I'm really proud of this. I've worked a lot on this, and I think I may have mentioned this earlier. But if you guys are interested, you can use code TTL50. You get half off, and this is a tool I made. But my strategy is all put into this, so it stops you from having to have MLB.com. It also I'm actually in the middle of adding public betting. It takes into account the percent of public bets compared to the amount of money on public bets. But I mean, there's a lot that goes into this, into the algorithm, and it just puts it all on here. It tells you exactly what to bet on based on the algorithm. But you can also click on the game and it will tell you our projections for everything. So for today, for example, we have 2 bets on this Blue Jays Yankees game, right? We have the Blue Jays plus 1.5 spread at minus 125 odds. And we have the Toronto Blue Jays and New York Yankees over 8 game total at plus 100. When we click on it, we can see we have the Blue Jays winning at a 44.75% hit rate and the Yankees winning the game at a 55.25% hit rate. We have the Blue Jays covering, or actually getting the 1.5 spread, so plus 1.5 at a 60.67. So losing by 1 or less, right? So we think they're going to keep it close. At a 60.67%, which is beautiful. And then we have the Yankees covering the spread at a 39.33 rate. And then we have the game total of 8. And we have the under cashing in 43.71% of the time, the over cashing at a 56.29% of the time. And now going over what all this is, it's pretty self-explanatory, but I'm going over everything. Obviously, this means it's July 1st, 2025. The game starts at 3:07 p.m. Eastern Time. The sport, baseball. League, MLB. The bet tells you exactly what to bet on. The odds tells you the odds. The EV percentage is something based on the odds, and it looks at the hit rate, so the 60.67% chance that they are, we'll do the spread right here. The 60.67% chance that they cash the plus 1.5 spread, and then it looks at the minus 125 odds, gets the implied probability of that, compares it to the payout we would get, and tells us the percent of positive EV. And it only is going to give you bets that are positive EV. This is not going to output anything that isn't going to be profitable long term. And obviously, the higher the positive EV percentage, the more it's going to tell you to bet on that prop. On that bet. I'm sorry, we're talking about sportsbook. But I'm thinking about making this go in 0.5 increments, and the bottom would be 0.5, the high would still be 3, and it would go 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, just because that's a little bit more accurate. And I'm also a big fan of counting cards in poker. That's sort of, I'm counting cards and poker, counting cards in blackjack and poker. But both of those are like so heavy on the bankroll. And for counting cards in blackjack specifically, you have to up the bet a certain amount, things like that. I've never done it myself. I mean, it's just too much of a hassle for me. If I go to the casino, I'm playing slots. I'm having fun. But I just think it's fascinating, and I think that both that poker and sports betting all relate in a certain way with that bankroll and how you should do things. And I think that's probably the smartest way. But this is my strategy, and I used to have. If I made this video a year ago, year and a half ago, it would have been a profitable strategy, and this proves that because this algorithm was made using that. But it's just so much simpler now. I don't have to have all the tabs open. I just go to predictiveprofits.ai. I click the betting predictor, take the bets it says. If I'm a little bit iffy, I may look at the chart and only take things that are over 50%. Because if a bet is like plus 200 and it has them cashing 45% of the time, it'll still take them. But if I'm wanting to make sure that I'm just having a high hit rate that day, I may only take the ones that are 50%, 55%, even 60% hit rate and higher based on the algorithm. And that can be very profitable as well. The chart down here is based off of taking every single bet, though. And we have cashed some like 2 unit plus 800 bets as well, which have been crazy. We've been all hyped in the Discord for that. But that's my strategy for the sports book. We're going to go ahead and go into the prop section of everything now, the pick 'em apps, all that good stuff. So let's get straight into that now. Moving on to the pick 'em apps, we're going to go over the multipliers, how to read them, what you should take, things like that. And yeah, so let's just get started into that. If you already watched the sportsbook section on odd types, this will make much more sense to you. And I'm going to go more in depth into this during that part of the video. So if you're interested and you skipped through the video, feel free to go back to that point. But let's get into it. So this is going to be really simple. On Underdog, on any other app really, Underdog is personally, like I mentioned earlier in this video, this is the app that I personally play on the most. This is my partner. This is someone that I've played on for 2-3 years now, and they've been really good to me. I've never had any issues depositing, withdrawing, any of that, and I've withdrawn some very large amounts sometimes. So shout out to Underdog there. But let's get into this. And let's get into the multipliers, the payouts, how they work, all that good stuff. So this is going to be pretty much the same all throughout any of the apps I mentioned earlier. The only thing to keep in mind is that some apps like Underdog will have multiplier differences like a 0.9x, 1.07. And this will just multiply the base payout you would have by that. So for example, if we take higher here and higher here, the base payout for a 2-pick is a 3x payout. But if I was to take a 0.9, it's that 3x times 0.9, which is 2.7x, right? So that's how that works. If I did 1.07, it'd be 3.21 because 3x times 1.07. Pretty simple, but we're going to go based off the base payouts because these are pretty flat throughout every single app. And yeah, let's just get into it. So a 2-pick is a 3x with standard payout, which means you have to hit both picks to get anything. If you hit 0, you get nothing. Now the way that the multipliers work is a 3x is not 3 times your money profit. So let's say I type in $10 here, right? It says play for $30, right? That means if I win, I get $30. I am risking 10 to get 30 back, not profit 30. I'm not getting 40 total back. I'm getting 30 total back. It's as simple as saying I'm 3xing my money. I mean, a lot of people get confused about that because they're used to sportsbook stuff. This is way different. It is quite literally 3x your money. A 3-pick. Underdog's the GOAT. A 3-pick is a 6x for standard payout. Again, if you hit 0, you get nothing. If you hit all 3, you get a 6x. If you hit 2 out of 3, you get nothing. You have to hit all 3. You can also flex this. And if you flex this, what that means is if you get all 3, you're getting a 3x. But if you hit 2 out of the 3, you'll get your money back. I do not recommend doing this for 3 picks. 4 picks. Standard payout is 10x. Flex is 6x. So if you hit all 4, you get 6x. You hit 3 out of 4, you get 1.5x. 5 picks are 20x standard payout. A flex is up to 10x. You get 2.5x. You get 4 out of 5. And then finally, this is what you can go up to. Actually, no, they actually made it where you can go up to 8 now on this. Now, I personally only do 6 and less. I'm not going to dig deeper into the more. I mean, I'll show them, but I typically do not play 7 and 8s, and we'll go over that after. But a 6-pick pays out 35x standard up to 25x as a flex. If you go 6 out of 6, you get a 25x. 5 out of 6, you get a 2.6x. And 4 out of 6, you get a 0.25x. 7 out of 7, you get that's a modified payout. You get a 65x, which is absurd. A flex is 40x, 27.5x, and 0.5x. And then finally, if you go 8 out of 8, a standard payout is a 120x. The flex is 80x. 7 out of 8 is 30x or 3x. And then 6 out of 8 is 1x. So hopefully that makes sense. Those are the payouts. That's how the multipliers work. And this is pretty solid all throughout all the apps. But Underdog's the one we're going to focus on anyways. Mentioned it earlier in the video, but gotta plug it, guys. Use code TTL. Get up to $1,000 deposit bonus and get a free month of that VIP. But those are how the payouts work. Now we're going to go over to what types of slips I personally play, right? Now, this is something that is very important. You don't want to play the wrong type of slip. So let's get straight into that. So moving on here, I recommend, now I'm going to tell you what the odds are and then what I recommend. So 3X's are kind of my bread and butter. 2X's I also really love. 4X's are great. 5 picks, by X I mean picks, by the way. So 2 picks are great, 3 picks are great, 4 picks are great. 5 picks, it's not that I would never. If I'm gonna play them, I typically play them as flex plays. If I'm gonna play that though, I typically just throw an extra pick on. I make it a 6 pick, and I do a 6 pick flex instead of a 5 pick. So pretty much everything but 5 pick I will play, but it does depend on if you're on standard or flex, right? So a 2 pick is always going to be standard. Now this is only something I play when I am very confident in those 2 picks. Now I will say this is not the most profitable type of slip that you can create. This is not the most profitable slip that you can create. I had to repeat that. This is the worst odds wise, like EV, expected value wise. This is the worst type of slip you can. Do I still make them sometimes, knowing that? Yes. Now, the reason is completely different. If I have a bankroll builder, I will do this. If I have something where I just need a win, like I'm on a loss streak, something like that, sometimes it's nice. Just get that 3x, get that win, refresh your mindset. That can be needed sometimes. But if you're playing these alternate payouts as well, it doesn't matter how many picks you really have because this is going to alter the payout anyways. You do what you feel comfortable with. We are going based off the standard payouts typically. A lot of times I'll do a bankroll builder with like a 0.9x, 0.9x, you know, and that just makes things easier for me. Um, get over a little 2x with like 80% chance of it cashing. We love that, you know. But a 2 pick for a 3x, that's fine. Now, a 3 pick for a 6x, this is something I absolutely love. You only need 3 picks. You get a 6x multiplier. This is one of the best types of slips you can take. And it has to be standard payout for the 6x. The flex is absolutely horrible for a 3 pick. Never touch the flex. The 4 pick, the standard, great, great as well. The flex, never, ever, ever touch the flex. It just is very negative EV. Do not touch the flex option for a 4 pick. The 5 pick, I'm gonna be completely honest, they're around the same. Whether you play the flex or you play the standard, the EV is very similar. If you're feeling really confident, go ahead hit that. Go ahead try hit that 20x. But if you're not and you want to flex it, that's typically what I would do with 5 picks. Now again, I typically skip over that and just go to the 6 pick, in which I never played the standard. And I'm again similar to a 5 pick. It's similar in EV, but to go 6 out of 6 on standard payouts, you're just not going to hit these very often. And it can be very demoralizing if you hit a slip 1 out of 36 picks. And the thing is, if you hit 1 out of 30, you are getting a 35x. So that's profitable. But it's just very demoralizing. So I personally like flexing it. You can still win a 25x, which is beautiful. And if you go 5 out of 6, you're still more than doubling up. So this is my bread and butter. The 6 pick flexes are amazing. Definitely, definitely make sure you guys start locking in some flexes. But those are the types of slips that I personally recommend when you're playing on Pick'em. Now, the last section of this video, we have 2 more sections. We're going to go over the strategy that I use for Pick'em apps. And then we're going to go over the next steps, how you can get started, all that good stuff. And yeah, let's just get straight into that. Before we get started on my personal strategy that I use, I did want to mention in a really quick little snippet of this video, I did want to mention the types of props that are available on pretty much every single Pick'em app. Now, first of all, you're going to notice at the top, there's tons of sports. I mean, you have MLB, WNBA, soccer, Counter-Strike, hot dog eating contest, golf, esports, Valorant, League of Legends, combos, NFL already, NFL season long, NBA season long, KBO. I mean, anything that you would want to play props on, you can do it on these Pick'em apps. Now, it's early in the morning, so they're not going to have as many props up as they will in 5-6 hours. But strikeouts, earned runs allowed, hits allowed, fantasy points, hits, runs, RBIs, total bases, hits, stolen bases, home runs, runs, RBIs, walks allowed, pretty much anything you can imagine. They're going to have props for it. For NBA, you're going to have points, rebounds, assists, PRA, points and assists, points and rebounds, rebounds and assists, fantasy points, stolen steals, blocks. I mean, the whole 9 yards, right? So, I mean, they definitely go in detail. You're not going to have to worry about what props are available, especially if you're on Underdog. But I did want to mention that really quick just before we do go into my strategy, just so you know kind of what we look for. So we're going to go into my strategy, the types of props that I personally play, how the algorithm does all of that stuff on predictive profits for the props, all that good stuff. I'll see you guys when I get started. So getting started into my strategy for the pick'em apps. Again, this is Predictive Profits AI, tool I made. I had mentioned two or three different websites earlier. I think maybe just one. Outlier is another good one. Um, I was partnered with Outlier for a while, and then just kind of made my own thing, and that's why I'm not really partnered with them anymore. That's why they're not in videos. But Outlier is still a great company, and if you want to use it, I completely understand. The reason I like the website I made is it just time constraints, right? Like, I'm 25 years old. I have a 5-year old that will be starting kindergarten this year. I have a family, and when I'm spending 6, 7 hours researching the sports book and the props and just spending my entire day consumed by research, it became a problem. And using my website, I've been able to keep the wins, maybe even honestly increase the win percentage. Um, and then also we are we are just finding the props so much easier, because finding good props when you're using Outlier, it's really hard to find the prop. You have to go through each individual prop and do I like it? Do I not? Oh, maybe, maybe not. Or oh, I have a hunch that this person might play well. Let me take a look at his stats. Or oh, I like this player. He usually does good. Let me look at his stats. This takes the guesswork out of it. Really, it truly does. And I don't think the projected hit rates are 100% to the T accurate, right? But I'm gonna show you what I personally do, because that's what this video is. It's my strategy. It's how I have been profitable. Um, Predictive profits is over the past 7, 8 months, right? But or actually probably 10 or 11 months now. But how I've been profitable over the past 3 years, right? And we're gonna go ahead and head over to the predictive profits prop predictor. Sometimes this will take 15, 20 seconds to actually load us in. Sometimes this will load our props instantly. And what determines that is if the props have been, if props are added, things like that, or maybe if there's news that came out, it'll reroute, redo the algorithm, put it through the algorithm, rerun the simulations, and give us that projected hit rate. Now, when you first open the app, you're gonna have something like this, and you're gonna see a ton of props in this list. Now, the good thing about this is it has a projected hit rate based on that algorithm that I made. And similar to the Sportsbook, this algorithm includes everything. It's looking at last 5, last 10, last 25, this season, last season. It's looking at batter versus pitcher data. So if you're taking a pitcher prop, it will show you the batters that they're against if we have that data. If we don't, it won't show you that. But if we have the data, it'll show you the batters they're up against, how many at bats they've had, how many strikeouts, how many hits. It incorporates that all into the algorithm. If we're taking a batter prop, it looks at the opposing pitcher's stats. It looks at this batter versus the opposing pitcher's game log. It compares all of that. I'm working on getting that shown to us as the consumer, by the way. Personally, currently it doesn't show the head-to-head matchup versus pitcher, but I think that would be valuable. So I'm going to add that. But it just shows you all of this data that is super important that you can use, and you can kind of scrounge that data and determine whether you want to take a prop or not. Or I've had multiple people send me 6 picks, 4 picks that they've cashed. I took the top 6 props from Predictive Profits. Thank you, bro. This was crazy. And we're going to see some that are minus EV. We're going to see the difference in the hit rate and the implied probability based on the odds is negative. We don't want to see those, but this is how it's going to look when you start out on Predictive Profits. And what you're going to do is we have a sports section where we can change the sport. We have projections over and under. We have all that good stuff. What we're going to do is we're going to click the filter setting. And here's the settings that I personally use. And I only play props above this. We're going to set the minimum percent diff. You can either set this to 0 or 5%. You can even do like 15% if you want. I typically do either 0 or 5%. Then I usually set the minimum odds that I want to take a prop at as around minus 200 sportsbook odds. And then I set the maximum odds at around minus 120 because I don't really like taking the huge plus odds because you have to have 2 or more picks or flips. And then for the minimum prediction, we can already save this, by the way, and we're going to get rid of a ton of those props. We have way less now. And then I like setting the minimum projected hit rate to around 65%. Well, that's the sweet spot that I have found is these stats. And when you save that, you can see a lot of props are taken out. And then you can actually even filter this by projected hit rate. So we're going to click on the hit rate, and all of a sudden we're getting our top hit rate to the bottom hit rate down to 65%. And you can take a look at all of these props. You can decide which stat types you like taking, all that good stuff. But personally, I'll just go down the list and I'll take a look at it. So starting with Shane Baz, we'll look at the odds, minus 165. Hit rate, 91.5% projected hit rate. Now, this isn't correct 100% of the time, right? This is based on the 10,000 simulations that were ran. So when you see a 91.5% hit rate, do I really think he's going to hit 91% of the time? That's a huge hit rate. No. But I think that this is within a 5% margin. So I can assume that he is going to hit at least an 85, 86% hit rate. And when we take a look at it, we can take a look. He's went under 4 of his last 5. He's went under 9 of his last 10. Last season, he went under in 12 of 14 games, and he pitched an average of 5.5 innings. This season, he went under in 13 of 16, an 81.3% hit rate. He went under. He's averaging 5.5. He went under in 13 of 16. We can take a look at the Athletics batters. There's only 1 strikeout out of 9 at bats between these 4 batters. We have him projected for 4.82. He's averaging 5.4 this season. I mean, it just gives you so much data that you can use to determine if you want to take the under or not. If you're taking alt lines, you can use the alt lines and kind of see what you're looking at, right? Like, I mean, it's just great. It's a great tool. And obviously, I'm going to say that because I made it. Strategy I use is I use this tool. I use these exact settings on the filter settings. I filter it by or sort it by hit rate. I don't care if it's an under, an over, whatever. Some people only take overs. I think that is hilarious because so many unders cash for us. But I would take Shane Baz looking at those stats, right? I would move on. Richard Fitz, take a look. There's not much data on this. I might skip over this one. I might end up playing it. He's only played 5 games this season. Last season, he only played 4 games. Really kind of just don't really know. So this one might be one I skip over. Then we would look at Jarren Duran under 2.5 bases. We take a look. He's against Brady Singer. Brady Singer allows this many earned runs. He hits this many strikeouts. We have him projected for 1.38. That's quite a bit different than 2.5. He's been under this 80.2% of the time this season. And this is how I find my props. I just go down the list. And what I personally do is I'll go ahead and open Notepad. Right. So I'll have a Notepad open. Or in my case, the Discord. Because if you don't know, I have a Discord. And for $30 a month, less than $1 a day, you get my exact slips. I post the exact slips I play for every single pick'em app, for Sportsbooks, everything that I put in, you get. So there's that. If you're interested, the WAP link will be in the description, but I do that. But I make my props list, right? And I go, okay, I'm interested in Shane Baz under 6.5K. I'm interested in Jarren Duran under 2.5 bases. And I make this props list. And we go to Clay Holmes. We look at his Milwaukee Brewers batters. We're taking his under 2.5 earned runs allowed. Projection is 1.01. Last 5 looks good. Last 10 looks decent. 2025, 66.7, not bad. 5 innings pitched per game. Now this is something you have to watch out for. It shows every game that this pitcher played over the past year or so, right? And sometimes projections get skewed because of this. Now, the way things are weighted, obviously it's not getting very skewed, or he'd have like a 95% hit rate on the under. But he's pitching an average of 0.8 innings last season with a 97.5% hit rate on the under. That may skew things a little bit. So we're going to look at mainly this season, right? We're not really going to look at last season. And I am working on getting that fixed so that it only counts games where the pitcher was a starting pitcher. But if that does happen, that is something you want to check. Make sure that's good. We look at 2025, 66.7 on the under, 10 of 15. We look at the batters, 3 hits and 5 at bats, 0 and 1, 0 and 1, 0 and 1, 0 and 4. Not bad. The Brewers don't typically, there's 5 batters that we have listed that have went against Clay Holmes before. They didn't do very well. I personally like this prop quite a bit. The projected hit rate's 81.79. Based on the 2024 data, I would make this closer to probably 73, 74%. I'll go ahead and put this on my list. I like this quite a bit. So then I would open up my notepad. Clay Holmes, under 2.5 earned runs average, earned runs allowed. I'd move on down. Brady Singer at 3.5 earned runs. We look at the Red Sox batters, 1 and 4, 2 and 8, 2 and 5, 2 and 3, 2 and... You just go based off of that, right? You look at his current season, his last 10, last 5. Okay, that one looks good. We add it to the list. Brady Singer, under 3.5 ERA. And it's that simple. And I make my list, and we're just going to just name the rest, right, that are going down this list just to make things easier. And let's pretend these are the 6 props that we like the most today, right? Then we're going to head over to Underdog or any of the other apps that we want to use, right? And we're going to open that up. We're going to say, okay, let me... Shane Baz under 6.5K. I don't know how I can do this. I can see both of these. But let's see if I can get proper. I think that would probably work best. Bada bing. Bada boom. Almost there. I'm sorry, guys. All right, that makes things pretty easy right there. So we can take a look. Shane Baz under 6.5 Ks. Shane. 6.5 strikeouts. It's a 0.83x. Okay. We'll go ahead and check that. Next one, Jaron Duran. Some of these may not be up because it's still really early. Under 2.5 bases. Clay Holmes. Under 2.5 earned runs allowed. Brady Singer. Under 3.5 earned runs allowed. This one's a full payout. We love seeing that one. Hayden Birdsong, under 2.5 walks. That one's not up yet. Kyle Farmer, under 1.5 bases, 0.81x. So now we have 5 picks. This is a 7.13x if we do all of them, or 3.56x if we do flex. Now, we're going to take a look. Clay Holmes, under 2.5 earned runs allowed. We were already because the 2024 data was a little bit skewed. It's also a 0.77x. That's a pretty drastic change to our payout. I like staying above 0.8 typically. We're going to mark that one out. So now we have 4 picks that we're willing to take. These 4 picks. And then what you can do is you can make 3 picks. You can lock in the 4 pick for a 4.63x. You can do variations of 2 picks. Pick your top 3 and do a round robin. You can do that however you want based on how you're feeling. Are you wanting to build bankroll? Are you needing to like stay consistent and hit these 2 picks consistently? Or are you wanting to, like I was talking about in the last section of this video, are you okay mentally? Now, long term, the most profitable action, if we only had these 4 props, because I'm keeping things simple. I don't want to go through the whole list, right? But if we only had these 4 props, do you really want to hit 1 out of every 3, 1 out of every 4 times? You'd probably actually hit 1 out of every 2 or 1 out of every 3 here because it is a 4.63x, right? But do you really want, let's say this was a 10x. Do you really want to hit 1 out of every 7 slips? Or would you rather hit 1 out of every 2 slips, 1 out of every 2.5 slips on average, right? But you're getting a 3x. Or 1 out of every 4 slips, but you're getting a 6x with 3 picks. It really just depends on what you are mentally okay with. Two picks are theoretically, mathematically the worst type of slip. But again, I still push two picks out every day pretty much because I know that people cannot handle losing day in, day out. And then finally, you have one day that you just cash out and you're up 50 units in that single day, and you only lost like 12 units the past 2 days. The 50 units obviously makes up for it, but people, they cannot comprehend that. So sometimes it's easier, and it's easier on your stress levels to just take those two picks. I personally still take those two picks. Three picks, four picks, and six picks is where the money is to be made, though. And that's why you'll see me typically give out six picks or maybe even five picks in my videos because I try my best to give out as many picks as I can without making VIP completely. Because I still want, there's some things that if I'm having 20 props in a day, okay, give out five or six. But if I only have like 10 props I like, I might give out four or five, you know? I don't want to give up all of everything that they're paying for. But, and hopefully that's normal. That's understandable. But, hopefully this makes sense to you guys. I personally just, if you're on a bad luck streak, go for some two picks, build that bankroll back up, then start hitting the three and four picks. If you only want to take lines that are full payouts, that's another thing. You can head over to predictive profits. You change this lines to the prize pick section, and prize pick section has goblins, demons, and standard payout. They don't have the typical like 0.8x or anything like that, right? So the way that you can get full payout slips, let me go ahead and delete these, is you go to the prize pick section and under the standard, because you're not going to be on goblin or demons, you only see what is on this drop down, right? So if I go to goblins, it'll only show us goblins for that. If we're on demons, it'll only show us demons for that. We're on standard, it shows us everything. Now we do have League of Legends today, so that's on there. We're going to change that to MLB. And we can see Clay Holmes under 4.5 strikeouts. If we look at that, that's going to be a full payout. And almost all of these that we look at would be a full payout. And that's something you can do if you're interested in getting full payouts and you want those actual 3Xs, those actual 6Xs, 10Xs on Underdog or anywhere else. You do that, you're probably going to get close to a full payout. And a lot of times, I'll go to Underdog and I have this set to the prize picks line section, and I actually get a higher payout. Like it'll be like a 3.6x or something like that for a two pick, which is beautiful. And similar to what I spoke about earlier, you're going to want a line chop. You're going to want to get lines at the best numbers you can, and you're going to want to get the best payout you can. So play where you get the best payout, the best bonuses, best everything. And for me personally, that's been Underdog. Again, huge shout out to Underdog. But you play where you get the most bonuses, the best payouts, the highest hit rates, the best lines. And I do think they do really well with that, but that's for me and that's for you to find out, you know. But that's pretty much my strategy is I just use predictive profits. I set my filters to these exact filters. I filter by hit rate. I look at everything. I don't just go by hit rate, right? It's not like I just go up and down. If there's a prop where it doesn't have enough data, or if the data could be skewed a little bit, like we mentioned with Clay Holmes, because his unders are going to be a little bit skewed from 2024. He has a 100% hit rate on the under because he only pitched zero point 0.8 innings. He literally couldn't strike out 4.5 people. So, I mean, that's something to think about, and that's something that will skew the projection data a little bit, and that's something to look for. Also, obviously, like I mentioned, just making sure you check the opposing batter, check the opposing pitcher, make sure everything lines up. But for the most part, the algorithm is going to do your job for you. You're not going to have to spend hours researching. You're going to be able to just get on here within 15 to 20 minutes. You'll have a props list, take another 10 minutes, make your actual slips, bang, 30 minutes in, you're done. You can spend time with your family. You can just be done for this. But that's my strategy for the pick 'em apps. Hopefully that made sense to you guys. Next up, we're going to go over the next steps, how you guys can officially get started, and what I would personally do if I was getting started with all of this. So rounding up this video, it's pretty easy, really. I kind of went over everything I needed to go over throughout this video. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments down below. I do appreciate you guys if you leave a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button. I'm trying to upload every single day right now, so hopefully we can continue that. But I do want to say there's kind of two ways you can go about this. Number one would be that you just use your own resources. Like I mentioned earlier, you use predictive profits and outlier, or just predictive profits if you want, or just outlier if you want. And you use those tools and do your own research on these props. And I mean, obviously, I think the predictive profits projections are super helpful, but you just use those resources, you make your own picks. Or another thing is you could just tell someone, TAIL, tell, not TELL. Like you can just follow someone's picks. And I do post my picks all in a Discord. I have a Discord where I post prize picks, underdog, chalkboard, sleeper. I post sportsbook bets. I post all of this, and I just post what I believe are the best bets for that day. Every single bet that I take on Sportsbooks, every single prop that I take on Pick'em apps gets posted in that Discord, and it's $30 a month, less than $1 a day, and we're just gonna keep on crushing it. So that's one option, is to just follow my picks, and I mean you'll get a notification every time the picks are posted. Feel free to join that, but I don't want you to feel pressured, because at the end of the day, I pretty much showed you guys how I'm going to get my picks every single day. But if you want to make it go from between 25 minutes, 45 minutes to do your research to literally just 30 seconds, because all you have to do is click a link and then copy the picks, feel free to do that. I mean, a lot of people do that and they just tell me. But if you guys have any questions, like I said, just ask them in the comments. I appreciate all the love, all the support from everyone that has left comments in the past, and we're back, baby. So I mean, I've never taken a break from VIP. I have not missed a single day since I've opened it up of posting picks, unless there's just no sports going on. But typically, if there's no sports, there's some esports. But I've never missed a day, but I have missed plenty of days for the free props, the free pick videos. So hopefully we can just keep this going every single day. And yeah, if you guys have questions, just ask them. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button. And I do want to mention that if you're not in the Discord, I do give away $250 to $500 every single week for free in the Discord. No signups necessary. So take advantage of that. And I hope to see you guys in the Discord. If you're interested in VIP, the WAP link or the Patreon link, you can use either one, will be in the description as well as in the pinned comment. And if you're interested in predictive profits or outlier, I'll have links to both of those in the pinned comment and in the description as well. So thank you for watching, and I hope to see you guys in the Discord.